Hi, my name is Neha, and I wanted to channel something which was coming through from my higher self, my soul, source, the universe, God, whatever you'd like to call it. I generally get these channeled downloads or wisdom from time to time, and I tend to write it in a notebook or the laptop, whatever is around, or even my phone, so that I don't forget. Because I want to make it clear it's not coming from me. It's like a channeled wisdom which is coming directly from the soul, I call it my higher self. Some people call it God, universe, whatever, but it is not coming from Neha's mind. So, yeah, something which I was asked to share. I've been getting these for a while since I started meditating regularly. But earlier, I was not able to really trust the guidance so much. And over time, I understood what is the voice of the soul and what is the voice of God, what is the voice of fear, and what is the voice of the soul, what is the voice of the higher self. It's usually the one which comes from love. It is the kind of wisdom that you would never have thought of on your own. It's higher wisdom which the mind cannot come up with. Probably it might seem like, this person is like really, really wise. So, yeah, so that's why I want to say that it is not from me, it is from the higher self, from the soul, and I am not taking any credit for it. Okay, yeah. So basically, I was asking my higher self, what is the cause of suffering? I'm sure a lot of us have this question, right? Why is there suffering in the world? Why do people suffer? Why are there wars? And is there something that could possibly be done about it, right? So I was just like, why is this world always suffering? Why are we always fighting? Isn't there any way out of this? Right? So even if we look at it, I'm reading from my laptop, okay? Even if we look at it like on a smaller scale, I will have to get guidance separately for wars, but this is in general why any fight happens is because out of the two parties, none of them is ready to compromise, right? Everyone has their own ideal in their mind, which according to them is right, but there is no compromise, acceptance from the other side. So basically, my higher self was like, one person needs to shut up, right? That's the only way a fight can stop. But stay with me. So, the one who is more conscious of the fight, the one who is more aware, who understands the damage it can cause to the other person, who understands the importance of human to human relationships, who understands the value of harmony, of love, who understands the damage conflict can cause to people's health, lives, right? That person is usually the more conscious one, and the one who will be able to eventually put down their ego aside and be able to sort of surrender or stop the fight, right? Because the other person will not be able to. The other person will be too hell bent on not compromising on any of their ideals, right? So, the person who understands the importance of unity will be the one who first puts down their ego and stops the fight. Okay. And so my question was that, okay, so that happens. I tend to do that, like just in my interpersonal relationships. If I'm the one to, let's say, stop the fight, if I'm the one to always put down my ego, and the other person is never learning a lesson, then, how will I survive? Because it damages my self esteem, my self confidence that every time I'm the one who needs to, sort of compromise. So I was like, how will I survive? So Spirit says, you are not surviving. There is no I which will survive. Basically, what it was trying to say, what she was trying to say, was that the ego is the one which has to get out of the way. If there is an I involved, you cannot come out of it alive, right? You will have to kill the ego in order to be able to stop any fight, any war, right? So that's what she was saying, that I cannot survive. The I cannot survive. The ego cannot survive. They are not hurting you. They are not fighting with you. They are basically hurting themselves. They are suffering from within, because anyone who harms another person has some kind of suffering which has caused them to cause this kind of harm to another person. Nobody in their right mind would want to harm another person, would want to hurt another person, right? So they are fighting with themselves basically. They are not trying to fight with you. You are just a mirror who is reflecting their wounds back to them. This is what Spirit is saying, okay? You are a mirror who is showing them who they are, their reflection, and they don't like it. So they argue, so they fight, and ultimately they expect the mirror to stop talking first before they can, in order to stop the fight. But realistically speaking, they are not realizing that the other person is a mirror basically. But since we as humans are conscious, we are conscious mirrors of each other, so we can stop it before the other person. So that's what Spirit is saying, that you are a conscious mirror. You can let people learn what they need to learn by not engaging in the fight. You don't have to react, you don't have to respond in a hurtful manner in order for the person to learn something. Rather, if you stop reacting, if you stop engaging, they will go back and ultimately reflect on their behavior, because indifference is what causes people to actually reflect on themselves more than anger or hurt, because when people are fighting or they are in an argument, they are generally, it's just like a battle of the egos. They are operating from their minds. So the soul never comes into the picture, is what Spirit was saying. They are operating from their minds, not from love, not from their hearts, not from their souls. So in order for them to operate from the soul, basically they need to be calm, come from a place of stillness, use their hearts, right? So for that, one person needs to withdraw. Only then the other person will become peaceful enough to reconsider the whole thing, to understand what they have done. And like they say, indifference matters more, because usually people want a negative reaction out of you when they are angry, right? But when you don't react at all, that makes them wonder, what happened, what just happened, how is this person not bothered, right? So that's what Spirit is saying. So she's saying you can let people learn what they need to without interfering in their process. You stay like a mirror, you be their reflection. Don't try to interfere in the process. Let them reap what they have sown. Basically, you don't need to judge yourself either, or feel guilty that you are not able to help them in some way. You're not able to. This is for people who are close to you, or who you really care about, who you really love. You're not able to save them. So you can't be guilty about it, because everyone has come here with their own soul lessons which they are here to learn. And we can't interfere with that process basically. We need to let them learn whatever they've come here to learn. So that's what she's saying, that don't judge yourself or be mean to someone, or think that you're being mean to someone who is reaping what they have sown. Okay? You are meant to be a mirror, not an absorber. You heal by mirroring, not by absorbing. So she's saying that we cannot heal others. That is not our task. nor is it our task to punish them. Our task is to just be ourselves, and in doing so, we will be triggering them possibly, and they will eventually learn their lesson. We cannot teach someone by advising them, because nobody likes to listen to advice. Nobody will follow something because of somebody's advice. Hardly there will be very few people who will actually learn like that. Most of us learn through our own experiences, right? So we need to go through the experience ourselves to be able to learn the lesson. When we struggle through an experience, when we fall again and again, we make the same mistakes again and again. That's how we learn how to get out of it. So it's maybe people can learn by reading or by listening to advice or somebody else, but again, it will not be as permanent or as strong as the lesson they learn on their own through their own experiences. So we let them heal on their own through their own lessons. We don't interfere, we don't punish, we don't judge, we are nobody to call judgment. We let them reap what they have sown. Okay, we cannot come in the way of karma, because they have come here to learn certain lessons, and if we interfere with that, we are taking on additional karma, which we are not supposed to be doing. Interfering with their life's purpose is not something we need to be doing, so that will add on to our karma that is actually harmful to them rather than being helpful. Okay, so then she says, taking on the pain of others, you had to heal yourself first from all that pain. Now that you have healed, you don't need to take anyone else's projections to your heart. Okay, because as we all have the ego within us, the ego is like the wounded part of us which doesn't operate from the soul, right? Which doesn't have that highest wisdom of the soul. Basically, it's saying that if you are someone who has put in that effort, she's telling me this, okay, that I have done this healing for years, worked on myself, okay, been empathetic towards people, and that was my lesson, that was my soul's lesson, to come here and get triggered by the people around me, and then learn to be strong enough, to be independent enough, to love myself enough, to then be able to share that wisdom with others, share that journey with others. But in order to do that, I have to not get affected, I have to not absorb what they are saying, because if I continue to get affected, then I haven't learned the lesson. The lesson is in the wisdom that what they are saying is coming from their own unconscious behavior, it is coming from their own ego, and that we are not supposed to engage in this battle of the ego, right? So that is the wisdom which we are being asked to sort of take forward once we recognize that the person who is hurting you is not doing it on purpose. They are not hurting you on purpose. It is the unconscious part of them which doesn't know any better. The people who love us would never want to hurt us, right? So it is the unconscious part which is behaving in that manner, because it is hurt also within itself. Something in the childhood, something during their life experiences has hurt them and caused them to sort of hold that kind of resentment, grudge, or whatever it might be within them, that they are then projecting outwards. So what we need to do, if we are the conscious ones, is to not absorb another person's hate, another person's anger. We just stay like a mirror. Doesn't mean that we have to endure or tolerate any kind of injustice. We respond, we don't react, we don't engage. Basically, Spirit was trying to say that you don't engage, you rather walk away and let them learn their lesson, rather than engaging in the fight, and then you have this two back and forth argument that leads to nowhere, because then you get into your ego and that person gets into their ego, and that's just going to make it worse. They will not be reflecting on that. In fact, it will make them more angry, more triggered, and it's not going to lead to a solution. So, in any kind of battle of the mind or fight, the one who is more conscious, the one who is aware of the impact it is having on themselves and the other person, is being asked to stop first, even if it is harmful. It cannot be harmful. In the end, it is going to be for the highest good of all, but it is harmful to your ego. You feel like you are losing the argument, losing the fight, or it's wrong, whatever you are standing up for, and you have to still step down. So you don't need to necessarily do that. You don't need to stop supporting whatever you are supporting, which you think is right. Right or wrong is subjective according to spirit, but we'll get to that in a separate video. But she's saying that you don't have to stop supporting the cause. You just have to speak your truth and walk away. Stop engaging in a constant fight. Okay. How this applies to countries and wars, again, we will have to I will have to dive into that deeper and ask that question separately of how this applies to countries. But take it as it resonates with respect to people around you, interpersonal relationships. It will be helpful. I hope it helps. That's my intention. Thank you so much for listening.